Hey, what's up guys? Real Estate Venture. Thanks for coming back to my channel. And today what I want to do was give you guys some pros and some cons to living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, depending on who you are, depending on your background and your perspective, I'm sure we could come up with 100 different pros and 100 different cons of living in Charlotte, North Carolina. But I'm just going to give you 5 pros and 5 cons that I want to talk about today that I feel like are pretty near and dear to me. This one for all of y'all and y'all and y'all and y'all and y'all and y'all. So like the video stated, we're going to be talking about pros and cons of living in Charlotte. And I'm actually going to start with the cons first. That way we end the video on a good note. So the traffic in the city can get pretty bad depending on where you live or where you're from or what you've experienced in your life. But since I've been here the last 5 years, one of the things that I've noticed about the traffic are the times. There are 2 certain times during the day that you can always count on getting stuck in traffic. And that's roughly about 7:30 in the morning till about 8 o'clock. And that's about 4 o'clock in the evening till about 6 o'clock in the evening. During those 2 times, depending on where you are in Charlotte, I just hope you got a lot of gas in your tank, okay? Con number 2, construction. So with progress comes decadence, unfortunately. And with Charlotte, there's a ton of progress happening. So there's a ton of decadence going on with things constantly being torn down and things constantly being built. Since I've moved here to Charlotte 5 years ago, I cannot honestly say that I've driven around the city and genuinely seen no construction. I don't know if that'll always be the case, but if you're moving to Charlotte relatively soon, just be prepared to see a lot of construction. Okay? Con number 3 is a con that I believe is an unfortunate derivative of con number 2, and that's gentrification. With there being so much construction going on, so many people moving to the city, so many things being built, it's driving up housing prices, and unfortunately, so many from the lower income families cannot keep up with the cost of living. For those of you who don't totally understand the concept of gentrification, it's essentially when a neighborhood goes through some sort of metamorphosis and the people who are already living there basically get pushed out or get kicked out. And this has been happening for Charlotte for quite a few years now. There are more than a few bars and places to visit in Charlotte that used to be former neighborhoods. And the local government has actually tried to step in and create programs to mitigate gentrification. But for the most part, it really hasn't happened. It's a very bad problem here, and I don't see it going away anytime soon, unfortunately. Con number 4, identity or lack thereof. Unfortunately, I don't believe that Charlotte has any sort of real identity. And there's a lot of things that play a part into that. Gentrification being one of them. And also with so many people moving in the area, it's very rare that you will find somebody who will say that they're actually from Charlotte. Most people that you meet will be from places outside of Charlotte, from outside of North Carolina. And unfortunately, I don't think, I feel like that has played into the lack of identity that goes on here in Charlotte. So if you meet someone, you're not going to meet someone and say, you know what, you're from Charlotte, aren't you? You're from here. You're from the area. Most of the time, you're going to find people like, you're not from Charlotte, are you? You're from someone else. I can tell by the way you act. My last con, the housing market. With me being a real estate agent, with this being a real estate page, I know a lot of you are looking at me like, whoa, he's not supposed to say that. He's a real estate agent. He wants people to come to Charlotte. And yes, I want people to move to Charlotte. However, I want to inform you. I want to tell you the truth. The housing market here in Charlotte right now is pretty bad if you're looking to buy a home. Anything under $230,000 to about $250,000, it's a true dogfight. And the lower you go in the price point, the harder it is for you to find something. Now, obviously, as you go up higher and higher in the price point, it gets less and less competitive. But from about $230,000 on down, it's pretty doggone competitive. Now, a lot of people want to move to Charlotte and they want to rent so that they can get used to the area before they're buying, and that's cool. However, a one-bedroom apartment starts out at about $1,000, and obviously, the more apartment that you want, the more you're going to have to pay. And for some of you, that's no problem. But there are a lot of people here, and there are a lot of people looking to move here who can't afford a $1,000 a month one-bedroom apartment or anything above a $230,000 home. So if you find yourself in that situation, make sure you do your planning before coming here to Charlotte so that you don't find yourself in a bad situation, okay? So now that we got all the bad out the way, let's talk about a little bit of good. Here are my 5 pros for living in Charlotte, North Carolina. In regards to the weather, Charlotte is in one of those unique places where they get all 4 seasons, and even still, when the winter comes around, it doesn't even get too cold. Now, if you've lived here in Charlotte your entire life, or if you're from somewhere like, say, in Arizona or California, it might get cold here for you. But if you've traveled or if you've lived in a colder environment, it really doesn't get cold here. You'll have one day where it might drop below 60. You'll be like, whoa, I'm not used to this. But for the most part, put on a hoodie, you're good to go. I also mentioned trees when I mentioned the weather, and the reason why I done so is because even though Charlotte is a metropolis and is one of the biggest cities here in the state of North Carolina, you don't have to drive 30 to 45 minutes to see another tree. You'll see your trees mixed in with your buildings and your houses and all that good stuff. And if you talk to me long enough, you'll see that I actually refer to Charlotte as the country city because you get a happy mix of the country as well as the city. Pro number 2 can also be a con, but obviously I'm using it as a pro. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about it right now. But that's diversity. Being someone who likes meeting new people from different backgrounds and different cultures, Charlotte is definitely a true melting pot of people who aren't originally from Charlotte. Now, the one unfortunate byproduct with the diversity angle is that if you're a sports fan like me, you have to deal with so many other fans from different fan bases. But other than that, it's a nice, diverse group of people here in Charlotte, and that'll always be a plus in my book. Building on that to moving on to pro number 3 will be the sports. So here in Charlotte, we have the Charlotte Hornets, which is an NBA team. We have the Carolina Panthers. We got the Charlotte Checkers. We got the Charlotte Knights. And we also have the Charlotte FC. A lot of you may have not have heard about the Charlotte FC, but we just got awarded a soccer team, which should be playing in 2021. And for quick reference, if you are an NHL fan, we actually have the Carolina Hurricanes up in Raleigh, which is about a 3 to 4 hour drive from Charlotte, okay? Pro number 4 would be Charlotte's proximity to other cities. So if you decided to, you can get to Wilmington in another 3 hours. You can get to Atlanta in 4 hours. You can get to Myrtle Beach in 3 hours, and you can get to Gatlinburg in under 3 hours. And if you aren't familiar with Gatlinburg, it's a ski resort located in the mountains of Tennessee, and I've been there a couple of times. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do so, okay? And my last pro for living in Charlotte, North Carolina, would be things to do. Now, all of these things aren't located directly in Charlotte, but they're relatively close enough that I can throw that in the video, okay? So some of the things that you can do would be going to Carowinds or the Whitewater Center, the Harvey B. Gantt Center, the NASCAR Hall of Fame. There's hookah, there's Top Golf, there's dog parks, there's wineries, there are beer gardens, tons of things if you want to do. If you want to go to the park, if you want to go hiking, there are a ton of things to do here in Charlotte. So guys, those are 5 pros and 5 cons of living in Charlotte, North Carolina. I hope I was clear and concise with my information. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time, okay?